Adapted from archaic translation by H. T. Francis and R. A. Neal. Jataka number 388. Tuṇḍila-Jātaka. Something strange today, etc. The master told this tale while living in Jetavana monastery, concerning a brother who feared death. He was born in Shravasti city of good family and was ordained in the faith. But he feared death, and when he heard even a little moving of a branch, or falling of a stick, or voice of bird or beast, or any such thing, he was frightened by the fear of death, and went away shaking like a hare wounded in the belly. The brethren in the hall of truth began to discuss, saying, Sirs, they say a certain brother, fearing death, runs away shaking when he hears even a little sound. Now to beings in this world death is certain, life uncertain, and should not this be wisely carried in mind? The master found that this was their subject, and that the brother allowed he was afraid of death. So he said, Brethren, he is not afraid of death for the first time, and so he told an old tale. Once upon a time when Brahmadatta was king in Benares, the Bodhisattva was conceived by a wild sow. In due time she brought on 2 male young. One day she took them and lay down in a pit. An old woman of a village at the gate of Benares was coming home with a basket full of cotton from the cotton field and tapping the ground with her stick. The sow heard the sound, and in fear of death left her young and ran away. The old woman saw the young pigs, and feeling towards them as to children of her own, she put them in the basket and took them home. Then she called the elder monk Mahatundila, the younger Kulatundila, and reared them like children. In time they grew up and became fat. When the old woman was asked to sell them for money, she answered, They are my children, and would not sell them. On a certain feast day, some lewd fellows were drinking strong drink, and when their meat was done they considered where they could get meat. Finding out that there were pigs in the old woman's house, they took money and going there, said, Mother, take this money and give us one of those pigs. She said, Enough, young men. Are there people who would give their children to buyers to eat their flesh? And so refused them. The fellows said, Mother, pigs cannot be children of men, give them to us. But they could not get this, though they asked again and again. Then they made the old woman drink strong drink, and when she was drunk, saying, Mother, what will you do with the pigs? Take the money and spend it. They put pieces of money in her hand. She took the pieces, saying, I cannot give you Mahatundila, take Kulatundila. Where is he? There he is in that bush. Call him. I don't see any food for him. The fellows sent for a vessel of rice at a price. The old woman took it, and filling the pig's trough which stood at the door, she waited by it. 30 fellows stood by with nooses in their hands. The old woman called him. Come, little Kulatundila, come. Mahatundila, hearing this, thought, all this time mother has never given the call to Kulatundila, she always calls me first. Certainly some danger must have arisen for us today. He told his younger brother, saying, Brother, mother is calling you, go and find out. He went out, and seeing them standing by the food trough, he thought, Death is come upon me today, and so in fear of death he turned back shaking to his brother. And when he came back he could not contain himself but reeled about shaking. Mahatundila seeing him said, Brother, you are shaking today and reeling and watching the entrance. Why are you doing so? He, explaining the thing that he had seen, spoke the first stanza. Something strange today I fear. The trough is full, and mistress by. Men, noose in hand, are standing near. To eat appears a jeopardy. Then the Bodhisattva, hearing him, said, "Brother Tundila, the purpose for which my mother rears pigs all this time has today come to its fulfillment. Do not grieve." And so with sweet voice and the ease of a Buddha he explained the righteous path and spoke 2 stanzas. You fear, and look for aid, and quake. But, helpless, where can you flee? We're fattened for our flesh as sake. Eat, tundila, and cheerfully. Plunge bold into the crystal pool. Wash all the stains of sweat away. You'll find our ointment wonderful, whose fragrance never can decay. As he considered the 10 perfections, setting the perfection of love before him as his guide, and uttered the first line, his voice reached and extended to Benares over the whole 12 leagues. At the instant of hearing it, the people of Benares from kings and viceroys downwards came, and those who did not come stood listening in their houses. The king's men breaking down the bush leveled the ground and scattered sand. The drunkenness left the lewd fellows, and throwing away the nooses they stood listening to the righteous path. And the old woman's drunkenness left her also. The Bodhisattva began to preach the righteous path to Tundila among the lot. Tundila, hearing him, thought, "My brother says so to me. But it is never our custom to plunge into the pool, and by bathing to wash away sweat from our bodies and after taking away old stain to get new ointment. Why does my brother say so to me?" So he spoke the 4th stanza. But what is that fair crystal pool? And what the stains of sweat, I ask? And what the ointment wonderful, whose fragrance never can decay? The Bodhisattva, hearing this, said, "Then listen with attentive ear," and so explaining the righteous path with the ease of a Buddha he spoke these stanzas. The righteous path is the fair crystal pool. Sin is the stain of sweat, they say. Virtue's the ointment wonderful, whose fragrance never will decay. Men that lose their life are glad. Men that keep it feel annoy. Men should die and not be sad, as at mid-month's festive joy. So the great being explained the righteous path in a sweet voice with a Buddha's charm. The people by thousands snapped their fingers and waved their cloths, and the air was full of the cry, "Good, good." The king of Benares honored the Bodhisattva with royal place. And giving glory to the old woman he caused both pigs to be bathed in perfumed water, and clothed with robes, and ornamented with jewels on the neck, and put them in the position of his sons in the city. So he guarded them with a great group of attendants. The Bodhisattva gave the 5 commands to the king, and all the inhabitants of Benares and Kasi kept the commands. The Bodhisattva preached the righteous path to them on the holy days, and sitting in judgment decided cases. While he lived there were no bringers of unjust suits. Afterwards the king died. The Bodhisattva did the last honors to his body. Then he caused a book of judgments to be written and said, "By observing this book you should settle suits." So having explained the righteous path to the people and preached to them with zeal, he went to the forest with Tundila while they all wept and mourned. Then the Bodhisattva's preaching went on for 60,000 years. After the lesson, the master explained the truths and identified the birth. At the end of the truths, the brother who feared death was established in the fruition of the first path. In those days, the king was Ananda, Tundila was the brother who fears death, the lot was the congregation, Mahatundila myself. Source. Adapted from archaic translation by H. T. Francis and R. A. Neal. Jataka number 389. Suvaṇṇakakkaṭa-Jātaka. Gold-clawed creature, etc. The master told this tale when living in the bamboo grove, of Ananda's dying for his sake. The occasion is told in the Kandahara birth about the hiring of bowmen, and in the Kalahamsa birth about the roar of the elephant Dhanapala. Then they began a discussion in the Hall of Truth. Sirs, has the elder monk Ananda, treasurer of the righteous path, who attained all the wisdom possible to one still under discipline, given up his life for the perfect Buddha when Dhanapala came? The master came and was told the subject of their discussion. He said, "Brother, in former times also Ananda gave up his life for me." And so he told an old tale. Once upon a time there was a Brahmin village called Salindia on the east side of Rajgraha city. The Bodhisattva was born there in that village in a Brahmin farmer's family. When he grew up he settled down and worked a farm of 1,000 karisas in a district of Magadha to the northeast of the village. One day he had gone to the field with his men, and giving him orders to plough he went to a great pool at the end of the field to wash his face. In that pool there lives a crab of golden color, beautiful and charming. The Bodhisattva, having chewed his toothpick, went down into the pool. When he was washing his mouth, the crab came near. Then he lifted up the crab and taking it laid it in his outer garment. And after doing his work in the field he put the crab again in the pool and went home. From that time when going to the field he always went first to that pool, laid the crab in his outer garment and then went about his work. So a strong feeling of confidence arose between them. The Bodhisattva came to the field constantly. Now in his eyes were seen the 5 graces and the 3 circles very pure. A she-crow in a nest on a palm in that corner of the field saw his eyes, and wishing to eat them said to the he-crow, "Husband, I have a longing." "Longing for what?" "I wish to eat the eyes of a certain Brahmin." "Your longing is a bad one. Who will be able to get them for you?" "I know that you can't. But in the ant hill near our tree there lives a black snake. Wait on him. He will bite the Brahmin and kill him. Then you will tear out his eyes and bring him to me." He agreed and afterwards waited on the black snake. The crab was grown great at the time when the seed sown by the Bodhisattva was sprouting. One day the snake said to the crow, "Friend, you are always waiting on me. What can I do for you?" "Sir, your female slave has taken a longing for the eyes of the master of this field. I wait on you in hopes of getting his eyes through your favor." The snake said, "Well, that is not difficult, you shall get them," and Sir encouraged him. Next day the snake lay waiting for the Brahman's coming, hidden in the grass. By the boundary of the field where he came the Bodhisattva entering the pool and washing his mouth felt a return of affection for the crab. And embracing it laid it in his outer garment and went to the field. The snake saw him come, and rushing swiftly forward bit him in the flesh of the calf and having made him fall on the spot fled to his ant hill. The fall of the Bodhisattva, the spring of the golden crab from the garment, and the perching of the crow on the Bodhisattva's breast followed close on each other. The crow perching put his beak into the Bodhisattva's eyes. The crab thought, "It was through this crow that the danger came on my friend. If I seize him the snake will come." So seizing the crow by the neck with its claw firmly as if in a vice, he got weary and then untied him a little. The crow called on the snake, "Friend, why do you forsake me and run away? This crab troubles me. Come before I die." And so spoke the first stanza. Gold-clawed creature with projecting eyes. Lake-bred, hairless, clad in bony shell. He has caught me. Hear my full of suffering cries. Why do you leave a mate that loves you well? The snake hearing him, made its hood large and came consoling the crow. The master explaining the case in his perfect wisdom spoke the second stanza. The snake fell on the crab fast, his friend he would not forsake. Raising his mighty hood he came. But the crab turned on the snake. The crab being weary then untied him a little. The snake thinking, crabs do not eat the flesh of crows nor of snakes, then for what reason does this one seize us? In inquiry spoke the third stanza. It is not for the sake of food. Crabs would seize a snake or crow. Tell me, you whose eyes protrude, why you take and grip us so? Hearing him, the crab explaining the reason spoke two stanzas. This man took me from the pool. Great the kindness he has done. If he dies, my grief is full. Serpent, he and I are one. Seeing I am grown so great, all would kill me willingly. Fat and sweet and delicate, crows at sight would injure me. Hearing him, the snake thought, by some means I must deceive him and free myself and the crow. So to deceive him he spoke the sixth stanza. If you have seized us only for his sake, I'll take the poison from him. Let him rise. Quick! From the crow and me your pincers take. Till then the poison's sinking deep, he dies. Hearing him the crab thought, this one wishes to make me let these two go by some means and then run away, he knows not my skill in clever means. Now I will loosen my claw so that the snake can move, but I will not free the crow, so he spoke the seventh stanza. I'll free the snake, but not the crow. The crow shall be a hostage bound. Never shall I let him go, till my friend be safe and sound. So saying he loosened his claw to let the snake go at his ease. The snake took away the poison and left the bodhisattva's body free from it. He rose up well and stood in his natural color. The crab thinking, if these two be well, there will be no prosperity for my friend. I will kill them, crushed both their heads like lotus buds with his claws and took the life from them. The she-crow fled away from the place. The bodhisattva spiked the snake's body with a stick and threw it on a bush, let the golden crab go free in the pool, bathed and then went to Salindia. From that time there was still greater friendship between him and the crab. The lesson ended, the master explained the truths, and identifying the birth spoke the last stanza. Mara was the dusky serpent, Devadatta was the crow, good Ananda was the crab, and I the Brahman long ago. At the end of the truths many reached the first path and the other paths. The female crow was Chientranhvahoabinh, though this is not mentioned in the last stanza.